And Representative Harper, you are recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And thank you, members of the House, for your unanimous support for my resolution designating this week, September 17th through September 23rd, as Civic Education Awareness Week in Pennsylvania. The Rendell Center for Civics and Civic Engagement, started by former First Lady and federal Judge Marjorie Rendell, is dedicated to promoting civic learning, defined as civic knowledge, public action, and democratic, as in democracy, not the party, deliberation. The center stresses the importance of civic learning in schools and helps with lesson plans, age-appropriate civics learning games, and professional education. It is important work, both for the students and for our democracy. The center also promotes Constitution Day, which occurs every year on the birthday of the United States Constitution, September 17th. So Civics Awareness Week in Pennsylvania is timed to coincide with that. Now, Pennsylvania does require civics education in the form of social studies in schools, but many of us believe that we need to do more to ensure that today's students grow up to be participating, contributing members of the government of the people, by the people, and for the people, as President Abraham Lincoln put it, just a few miles from here at Gettysburg. Our colleagues, Representative Boback and Representative Kortz, have introduced House Bill 1858 that would require that a student demonstrate a knowledge of civics to obtain a diploma or GED, and that is certainly something this House should consider. But the inspiration for this resolution actually came from a constituent of mine, Richard R. Buttacavoli of North Wales, who is with us today on the House floor. If I might ask, Mr. Speaker, for Mr. Buttacavoli to stand.
Yes, please. Welcome. Thanks so much for being here.
And thank you. And it was adults, not children, who caught the attention of this citizen in stressing the need for civic education. Here's what he wrote to me. As an elected committee person, one of my responsibilities is to make sure the residents of my precinct vote on Election Day. I was dismayed to hear that turnout throughout Pennsylvania was only 38% for the recent gubernatorial election, and I began to research why people don't vote. Through speaking with individuals and groups, I realized they don't vote because they don't understand, particularly local government and how it works. They don't know what a row officer is. They don't know what a prothonotary is. But I actually think that goes for state and federal offices as well. There are many people who think this year that they know too much about the election. But in general, citizens need to know more. Anyway, Richard Buttacavoli proposed that we shed some light on the need for educating adults about civics, and that is why I introduced, and you just passed unanimously, Civics Education Awareness Week in Pennsylvania. As Supreme Court Justice Anthony Kennedy has noted, we all have an obligation to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution. But you cannot preserve what you do not revere, and you cannot protect what you don't comprehend, and you cannot defend what you don't know. Civic education matters, not just in our public schools where it is supposed to be taught and learned, but for adults as well. Please join me and Richard Buttacavoli of North Wales, Pennsylvania, in encouraging our schools, families, and civic organizations to understand civics and our form of government, and to encourage every citizen to to exercise not just their rights, but also their responsibilities as citizens. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair.